Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you these flavor combinations that I did this week and then last week, so the past 2 weeks. But more than anything, I wanted to go more in depth as to when adding spreads and just any mix-ins to create the flavor that you want, as there's definitely some errors, trial and error, that can occur when doing so, and that definitely happened to me. So hoping if you're starting out just brand new to brownies, this video is helpful for you. Brownies, chunky cookies, and cupcakes are one of the things that brings me the most income, I would say. And something like brownies I love. Same with chunky cookies, because if you have any leftovers, they do amazing frozen. So there's not like, you lose a lot from it. But either way, so for my brownies, obviously I don't really do anything different to the batter. It's always the same. But what really changes is the chocolate chips that I use, or the spreads, or the mix-ins like the cookies or chocolates that I add into it. So this one, as you can see, this one's the peanut butter, my classic just peanut butter. Peanut butter cup, you can call it whatever you want. It does have a Reese's on top, but what I went ahead and used was some peanut butter chips, and then I went ahead and added some semi-sweet chocolate chips. A lot of you guys ask, well, what can I use? Can I use milk chocolate? Yeah, you can. It's totally up to you. Just brownies are already very, it's such an indulgence, I feel like, very rich, to the point, I mean, I can't eat one whole brownie like in one sit down, but that's just me. I love brownies to death, and I love the flavor and everything, but it's a lot. Like, I feel like I don't enjoy it after like the first half, as it's like all stuck in my teeth. I don't know, that's just me. But other than that, that being said, now milk chocolate is on the sweeter side, so it would just make it sweeter, if that makes sense. But that's totally up to you. You can use anything. When I call my classic chocolate chips, I add semi-sweets. That's personal preference. Remember that that's your business. You decide what you want to call classic in yours. But sorry, I went a little off topic right there. So that's exactly what I did for this one. Now, the important part here is how much spread should you use? Is there anything like too much spread? And the answer is obviously yes. And you can also be adding just a little bit, just a little too little. To the point you can't really taste it. So what I found that was perfect for me was adding a total of 100 grams of spread. But I will reserve about 15 grams. I just eyeball it, to be honest, at this point. But 15 to 20 grams. Reserve a little bit for the end of it. Okay, so I put it in 45 seconds when I put in my first, let's say, 80 grams. I put it in for 45 seconds just so it's a more spreadable consistency, and it's easier to get in there. Before, I would just add it just on top because I wanted that aesthetic look to it, and I wouldn't really mix it in. But then what I noticed, that the peanut butter would kind of just like dry on top. I don't know. It was like a very like off weird texture. So I was like, no, I have to change something about that. So now that's what I do. As you can see, I just really spread it onto that first like layer. I don't get it all the way down. I mean, some parts will go, but that's totally fine. But I do go ahead and just smear it completely. But that's why I reserve those 20 grams, and I go ahead and add it at the very last moment. That way it looks more aesthetically pleasing, if that makes sense, when I add the peanut butter cups to it. But that's about it for your spread. So even if it's Biscoff or Nutella, that's kind of what I recommend. 100 grams. Go ahead and try it for yourself, but that's the quantity that I personally like to use. Now, something like chocolates, not your, well, one, you can't add like let's say the peanut butter cups, if I were to add this when I'm about to bake it, one, it's just gonna be a whole big blob. It's gonna melt completely and just not look like a peanut butter cup anymore. But it also can burn. And you're like, but didn't you just add chocolate onto the batter? Yes, I did. But oh my god, technical difficulties. I just realized that's in the Spanish version as well. um, so that one's mixed in. That's why they won't burn. So any chocolates that you do want to add, let's say you want to add M&Ms, go ahead and add it, but mixed in the batter thoroughly. Because if you go ahead and add it on top, like I said, one, it's gonna melt completely, but it's gonna burn on top as well. And that goes with cookies as well. Here, let me explain this little part. I always leave it in the description box. This is my 4-wheeler, like a Tico, whatever brand. I absolutely love it. And there's some of you that still go ahead and order this other one that is cheaper. Yes, I definitely know that there's one that's like 28, 32 bucks, I believe it is, around there. This one is $40, but this one does expand. So this is the same one that I cut my churro cheesecake with. So that's a 9 by 13 inch pan, so it goes very wide. Now the other one, yes, it's a wheel cutter, because that's where I think a lot of you get confused, and that's why I end up getting messages. But believe me, when I leave something in the description box, it's something that I personally have bought myself. And it's not because I'm trying to get you to buy the most expensive one on the market. But that's why the other one is cheaper, because that one doesn't expand fully. So make sure, if you aren't interested, go ahead and purchase it. This is little things that, you're only gonna make that purchase hopefully once, in a very long time. This one, I mean, it's been like 3 years that I've started selling churro cheesecake, and it's in perfect conditions. And that goes with a lot of things, like even my spatula. I've had my offset spatula since I was 12, and that was one that my mom gifted me, and I still have to this day. Is it nearly like old looking? No, it's in perfect conditions. And that's, what you have to do when you have a business. A lot of the things that, you make, you're going to have to put back into your business, and you're not going to see a profit of it in the beginning, and that is totally okay. That goes same to me right now that I started my business. Again, after closing it, obviously I threw a lot of boxes out, a lot of stickers, a lot of everything packaging, and I have to rebuy everything. But I went a little off topic, of course, but you guys know I always like to talk a little bit behind the business life, basically. Right here I'm preparing my other batter, which this one I made double the recipe because I wanted to make just a simple fudge sprinkle one, and then I also wanted to make one with Oreos and M&Ms. And then here I'll go back to the top. I don't think I forgot. I know I was talking about the cookies in there. So that goes the same thing as chocolate. It's more possible that you can bake it on top. I've done it in the past, but it does, depending on which rack you have it in your oven, sometimes they do get a little bit toasty, and you don't notice it with the Oreos. But I went ahead and I remember vanilla Oreos one day, or the golden Oreos, whatever you want to call them, and they did change colors. So I'm like, oh, they do get toasty. So if you really like taste it, you can taste the like toastiness from it. I don't know, if you like that, then go ahead and do it. The world is your pickle. But I didn't like that, so I make sure to just go ahead and add it, distribute it into the batter, and bake it. And then almost towards the end, typically 8 to 5 minutes before it's done. Here I did a terrible mistake where I put 45 minutes on my timer because I was thinking of just the fudge brownies, but didn't think about the Oreo one, that my toppings on top didn't end up sticking. I mean, some did, but then others didn't. So obviously I didn't throw it away. It was still gonna be just as delicious. I still sold it, but what I went ahead and did, so typically my original bases or classic flavors, like the peanut butter one, I go ahead and wrap it in my cellophane bags or plastic little baggies that I use, and I heat seal them. That goes the same with my classic brownies. I've always done that. But in this case, I didn't. I went ahead and did it like if I was packaging the ones that have sometimes cheesecake topping, or I went ahead and added it onto a box just in case any of the extras were gonna fall out. They fell inside the little box. And yeah, so for my funfetti mixture, I didn't go ahead and add the chocolate chips. If you wanted to, you could. I didn't. I wanted more specifically just funfetti on top with the fudge. And because I added the fudge, I felt like the chocolate chips were just going to be too much. See, I just play around with it. Like, once you have that base recipe, you can do so many different variation of flavors out there. Um, it's not really like, oh my god, this is a really popular combination, I need to do this. No, it's like, what am I craving? It honestly just starts like that in my head. It's like, what am I craving? What would go good together? And like I said in the past, that's the good thing about having your own business, that you can create any flavor. Like right now, I was just thinking, Biscoff Oreo cheesecake would be really bomb. So yeah, that's what you can do. Like I said, mine did fully bake by the time I added it. So what I went ahead and did was kind of just pat it in, to hopefully make it stick. But like I said, some didn't stick, which is fine. But this is you see how it's a little bit jiggly, kind of like cheesecake? That's how you want your brownies to be. If you wait for your brownies to be completely set, then that's why your brownies are really dry. Even this one, I felt like it was just a little bit too much for my liking. But it's typically 45 minutes. I went ahead and left it just a little bit longer this time, just because I was doing something else. Was making some crumble mixture. So yeah, that took a little bit of time. And yeah, 2-3 minutes will make a difference in your brownies. But they were still fudgy, but I can tell when they're like real fudgy and when they're like normal fudgy, right? Then for my Oreo one and M&Ms, like I said, I just went ahead and pressed it in, and I just drizzled some white chocolate on top, and that's all I did. For the fudge brownie, I went ahead and just added fudge and some sprinkles, and that is it. Also, I forgot to mention in this one, in the peanut butter one, I wait about 30 to 40, no, I wait about 45 minutes for it to cool down. Like, you want it very, very slightly warm. You don't want it cold because you want the Reese's pieces to stick on there. And like I said, those are my more classic brownies that cost $7.50 to $8. So the last thing that I want to do is have to do a little bit more work, like having to grab a little plastic bag, cutting a hole into it, melting some chocolate, which sounds very simple. It is very simple, but it's an extra step that I don't want to have to do, since it is more of my like cheaper brownies. So the way to save me sometimes, because remember, time is money, is waiting for it to be just slightly warm to the point it'll melt the little bottom of the Reese's pieces, but just enough to where I can pop it in the freezer and it freezes back up, and then it doesn't, like, the peanut butter cup just sticks automatically. So yeah, I do cut all my brownies in 9, so 3 by 3, and then you guys know these are the cupcake, the brownie pans that I use. I'm gonna go ahead and link it down below. They are my favorite, and I use this for all my classic brownies. If I'm doing something with mousse or cheesecake, I do use the removable bottom, and my preferred size is a 9 by 9 inch pan. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, and if it was somewhat helpful, then go ahead and subscribe if you're new here. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. I'll link all my social media as always down below. don't have to repeat myself, but my personal social media is more YouTube content, myself related, and then my business one. Well, obviously you can see how I run my business. I'll see you guys next time. Have an amazing day. Bye bye.